Imagine the year 1765, 11 years before the Declaration of Independence was even signed. A young lawyer named Thomas Jefferson walks into a small bookstore in Williamsburg, Virginia. He is not looking for English common law or the latest Greek philosophy. Instead, he reaches for a 2-volume set of the Quran. Why would one of the most influential founding fathers be so deeply interested in the holy book of Islam? For decades, we have been told a specific story about the roots of America. We have been told that Islam is a modern arrival, a foreign faith that only recently reached these shores. But what if the very DNA of the United States was woven with Islamic threads from the very beginning? What if one of the most iconic symbols of American freedom, something you have seen 1,000 times on postcards and in history books, was originally designed to be a Muslim woman? Stay with me, because by the end of this journey, we are going to look at the American skyline, history books, and even our own national identity in a way you never thought possible. This is not just a story about a religion. It is a journey into the hidden soul of the American dream. To truly understand this connection, we have to go back to the darkest holds of the slave ships crossing the Atlantic. Historians now estimate that between 10 and 30% of all enslaved people brought from West Africa to the American colonies were Muslims. These were not just laborers. Many were scholars, teachers, and leaders who spoke fluent Arabic and could recite their entire holy book from memory. Imagine the sheer resilience required to keep a faith alive in a land that tried to erase your very name. Picture a man standing in a tobacco field in Georgia or a rice plantation in South Carolina in the 1800s. The sun is scorching. The threat of the whip is never far away. Yet, in the quiet of the night, he turns his face toward the east and whispers prayers in a language his masters cannot comprehend. Think of Ayuba Suleiman Diallo, captured in 1731, who wrote the entire Quran from memory while in captivity in Maryland. Or consider Omar ibn Said, a scholar whose autobiography written in Arabic remains a stunning testament to a faith that refused to die. These men and women were the first American Muslims. They fought in the Revolutionary War and the Civil War. They helped build the very foundations of the cities we walk through today. But as the generations passed, their names were buried, and their faith was forced into the shadows, becoming a silent secret kept in the hearts of those who refused to be broken. Fast forward to our present day, where that silent history has blossomed into a vibrant reality. If you were to walk through the streets of Dearborn, Michigan, or the sprawling suburbs of Houston, Texas, you would see a community that is as diverse as the American flag itself. By the year 2026, the Muslim population in the United States is projected to exceed 4.4 million people. Put that into perspective, that is enough people to fill the largest stadium in America over 40 times. But here is the most fascinating detail for those who value our nation's diversity. The American Muslim community is the most racially diverse religious group in the entire country. Unlike many other nations where the Muslim community might come from one specific region, in America, it is a global village. Roughly 35% are African American, many of whom are reclaiming that silent history we just discussed. About 28% are of South Asian descent, and 25% are of Arab descent. The rest are white, Latino, and East Asian. In 2025, the breakdown remains relatively steady, with 55% identifying as Sunni and about 15 to 20% as Shia. The remaining quarter often describe themselves as just Muslim, a uniquely American phenomenon where old sectarian divides often melt away in the great melting pot of the New World. But what does their daily life look like beyond the cold statistics? It is the American dream in its purest, most hard-working form. Muslims in the United States are more likely than the average citizen to be entrepreneurs, starting small businesses that provide jobs for their neighbors and revitalize downtown areas. They are the doctors in rural towns in the Midwest, where medical care is often scarce and hard to find. They are the engineers driving innovation in Silicon Valley and the teachers educating the next generation in our public schools. In places like Paterson, New Jersey, or Astoria, New York, the smell of fresh pita bread and the sound of the call to prayer blend seamlessly with the hum of American traffic and the ringing of church bells. They are your neighbors, your mechanics, and your children's coaches. They have built a life that balances an ancient faith with a modern, high-speed American lifestyle. They participate in PTA meetings, they cheer at Little League games, and they contribute billions of dollars to the national economy every single year. They are not just living alongside the American story. They are actively writing its next chapter with every business they open, every patient they treat. However, being part of this American fabric has come with a heavy and often painful price. For many of you watching, you remember exactly where you were on September 11, 2001. That day changed the world forever, and it shattered the lives of American Muslims in ways that are still felt today. Suddenly, a community that had been quietly contributing for centuries was thrust into a harsh and unforgiving spotlight. Overnight, the word neighbor was replaced by the word suspect in the minds of many. The American dream turned into a recurring nightmare of surveillance, long airport security lines, and a massive increase in hate crimes. Imagine working your whole life to build a home and a reputation, only to have people look at you with fear because of the scarf on your head or the name on your passport. This is the reality of Islamophobia. Even today, statistics show that Muslims are the most likely religious group in the country to report experiencing religious discrimination. Many families had to sit their children down and explain why the world suddenly seemed to hate them for something they had no part in. It was a moment of profound heartbreak, a time when the promise of equality felt like it was slipping away from their grasp. But in the face of such overwhelming adversity, the story did not end in tragedy or retreat. Instead, it became a story of incredible resilience and achievement that should make every American proud. The community did not hide. They stepped up to define what it means to be American in a modern, often divided age. Did you know that the very silhouette of the American city was revolutionized by a Muslim man? In the 1960s and 70s, Fazlur Rahman Khan was known as the Einstein of structural engineering. He was the genius who designed the Sears Tower and the John Hancock Center in Chicago. Before his innovations, we simply could not build skyscrapers that reached such magnificent heights because the wind would make them unstable. He invented the tube structural system that allowed buildings to safely touch the clouds. Every time you look at a photo of the Chicago skyline, you are looking at the legacy of a Bengali American Muslim. And the success stories extend far beyond architecture. Think of the legendary Muhammad Ali, who showed the world that you could be unapologetically yourself and still be a hero to all. Today, from the halls of Congress to the cutting edge of medical research, American Muslims are proving that you do not have to choose between your faith and your country. You can use your faith to serve your country and make it a better place for everyone. Now, we come to the revelation that ties everything together, the moment that challenges everything we thought we knew about our national symbols. We have looked at the history, the struggle, and the success. But there is one fact that almost no one knows, a fact that changes the very symbol of our nation. The Statue of Liberty, Lady Liberty, the mother of exiles. We all know she was a gift from France to celebrate our centennial and our shared love of freedom. But do you know her original identity? The sculptor, Frederick Auguste Bartholdi, did not initially dream of a woman standing in New York Harbor. His original vision was for a massive project in Egypt, intended for the entrance of the Suez Canal. Bartholdi spent years studying the colossal figures of the ancient world. His original design was titled Egypt Carrying the Light to Asia, and the model for this giant monument was a Muslim peasant woman wearing traditional Islamic robes and a veil. holding a torch high to guide ships into the canal. When the Egyptian government could not afford the project, Bartholdi took his sketches back to France. He tweaked the design, changed the robes to a Roman style, and renamed it Liberty Enlightening the World. The Lady Liberty that stands in New York today, the symbol that welcomed millions of our ancestors as they arrived at Ellis Island, carries the heart and form of a Muslim woman from the Nile. It is perhaps the greatest irony in our history that the most famous icon of Western freedom was born from the image of a Muslim woman. We have traveled from the private library of Thomas Jefferson in the 1700s to the heights of the Chicago skyline and the base of the Statue of Liberty. What we have discovered is that Islam is not a new or foreign chapter in the American story. It is the very ink that has been used to write it from the beginning. America has always been a mosaic, a collection of different and sometimes broken pieces that, when put together, create something far stronger and more beautiful than any single part could ever be. The millions of Muslims living in the United States today are not just living here, they are defining what it means to be a citizen in the 21st century. They are the living realization of the phrase e pluribus unum, out of many, one. So, I leave you with this final thought to reflect upon. If the very symbol of our freedom was inspired by a faith that many still view as foreign, what else have we forgotten about our own history? And if we finally embraced these hidden truths, how much stronger and more united could our American dream become? The history is there, and the facts are clear. The only question left is whether we are brave enough to see the full, unfiltered picture of who we really are as a nation.